I guess you love movies. I do too. Hi guys, and welcome back to another movie review. And today we're going to talk about something a little different. I don't think I've ever reviewed a foreign film on my channel before, at all, in fact. But talking about a modern foreign film is something that I very rarely do. But today, I'm going to be talking about Cold War, directed by Pawel Pawlikowski, the director of Ida, which came out in 2013, a movie I'm a massive fan of. His visual style is something very unique, and something you don't see in modern cinema too often. He exclusively shoots in black and white, very highly saturated, a lot of greys and whites in his black and white. He's not somebody that's got a very, but he uses it very well in Cold War specifically, and I'll get into that a little later, but this guy's someone I want you to check out. Go watch Ida if you haven't already, because it's a very good film. And you know, the people that have heard of it and the people that like it, but there's a lot of people that haven't checked it out. This guy's a director to watch. This guy could be somebody that could grow into a really top director over the next few years, and I'm really looking forward to more of his work, because Cold War was another very good movie from him. I really enjoyed this film. Cold War is about two musicians, Victor and Zula, who after pre-World War II Poland, who fall in love. They're mismatched, they've got problems of their own and with each other, and this is set against the background of the civil wars in Eastern and Central Europe after the Second World War, and it's set over 10 years, their relationships and their struggles, and it's a fantastic movie. Firstly, the performances are very good, specifically from the guy who plays Victor, who I think is excellent in this film. He's a lot more subtle than Zula, who I'll get into a character a little later on, but his performance is very good. It anchors this film very well, and I think both of them are great, and they're both great together in this movie. But I talked about his visual style, and this movie is stunning. I mean, this is gorgeous. Ida is amazing looking. This is just like it in terms of its stark whites and blacks, you know, contrasting in the frame. You definitely have differences to Ida. It's a much vaster film, it's a much bigger film in terms of its scope and scale, and it does have some different images, and it works a little differently in certain areas, but it definitely has that same distinctive style as Ida, the same sort of colour palette, and the same use of colour, and the same black and white imagery. And I really enjoyed that in this film. The movie itself, okay, so they meet early on in this music school, sort of bringing together the broken pieces of Poland after, you know, its occupation by Germany, and the first two acts are a hell of a lot more hopeful than Ida. If you've seen Ida, you will know what I'm talking about. This movie sort of feels like the war has brought them back together rather than torn them apart. Like in Ida, it's a lot more isolated. So, and the music is great. This movie has an array of different styles of music, from Polish folk music to jazz, and it definitely mixes a lot of different musical influences into this film, and I really enjoyed that variety. But there are certain scenes with the music that are just chilling, brilliant scenes, and the use of music in them is excellent. However, I would say the best use of music is a jazz sequence. It's not like a dance sequence, it's just a singing sequence. She's in a bar, Zula is singing in a bar, and Victor's playing piano, and it's an exceptional cue, and just this use of music in it is so emotional, and it evokes so many feelings, because the song connects so brilliantly to the idiosyncrasies within their relationship, which I'm going to get into right next. So, Zula is a very destructive character. She's somebody that is very hard to deal with. She's full of life. She kind of wants to flirt with everyone, and this sort of rubs up against Victor's feelings, because he's very jealous of that, and they're both obsessed with each other. They're both in love with each other. They can't live without each other, but then when they're together, they can't live with each other because they clash constantly. And this is a very interesting conflict within the film. And it's beautifully shown within certain moments. These people seem to be in love from across a room, but they're not in love when they really get to know each other, when they live side by side. They can't deal with each other on a day-to-day basis. But there's so many great scenes where there'll be a musical cue and they'll look across the room at each other, and those are the moments that keep them together, that keep them in love. But there's so much clashing throughout the movie that they're just breaking up and getting back together, and it's just a destructive cycle, which comes to the third act, which is incredibly dark. And I guess you could say it's a slight tonal shift from the rest of the movie. Even though there are dark moments within the rest of the film, this is by far the darkest. And it's something you can see coming if you watch the rest of the film, and it makes sense, because in reality there's not really much this movie could do outside of this ending, other than they just break up. Because these two people are so destructive, there's no way they can live happily together, because they've set it up throughout the entire film that this is just the way it works. It's a cycle, it keeps happening. It's not like it happens a couple of times, it happens consistently throughout the movie. And if it had ended any other way, it may have been unrealistic in my eyes as the way they'd set up the characters prior. But it is a very dark ending. It's a very depressing ending. It's a very emotive ending. But for a lot of people it is without hope, unlike at the end of Ida, where there is some hope in that ending. You know, there is some hope that maybe her life will be good after this. I won't go into too many spoilers if you haven't seen Ida, but I really enjoyed Cold War. I thought it was, again, another great progression of Pawlikowski's style. Pawlikowski style. I'm trying to say his name well. I really am butchering it. I'm sorry. I was literally, before this video, I was literally saying his name over and over again to try and get it right. But I still continue to butcher it, unfortunately. If I don't have it written in front of me, I can't remember the word specifically, but, you know, sorry. It progresses his style really well. It's, again, stark and beautiful and simply shot, but so stunning. The performances are great. It's a very good conflict. It's a very good romance, set against a very interesting time period in history. It has a very dark ending, and for some it may be a little bit too gloomy. But I thought Cold War was fantastic, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So there you go, there is my review of Cold War. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, drop your comments down in the section below. Have you seen this movie? Probably not. I managed to pick this movie up in a screening at Curzon Theatre in Colchester. If you have not gone to see any movies there yet, I would definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of independent films, if you're a fan of foreign movies, and you struggle to get to see them in your own theatre, if you live in the UK, if you live in Essex specifically, go check it out. It's a great theatre, it has some great movies on at the moment, and I definitely recommend Cold War. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.